Hey guys, what's going on? Banana156 here. If I sound pretty quiet, that's because I'm doing this late at night, so yeah. Um, so let's get right into this video. Well, first, remember to like, dislike, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. I do read all comments, so make sure to leave one. And yeah, so in this video we'll be talking about Michael Knowles. This will be an extension of the previous video because I didn't talk about everything that I wanted to talk about, and I didn't go as in depth as I wanted to. So, Michael Knowles, as most of you probably know him, is like a guy who helps with Ben Shapiro. He has his own show with the Daily Wire. He works with them. But a lot of people lump him in the same category as people like Ben Shapiro and the other Daily Wire people. And I don't think that's right because from what I've seen of him, he has proven to me that he is far farther right than Ben Shapiro. But yeah, I'll just be in this video. I just want to talk about some of the arguments that he makes and how they're very Nazi-ish almost. But yeah, so first of all, I'm gonna mainly be referring to a Harriet Tubman video on why she shouldn't be in the 20 because I thought this video was a perfect example of what he thinks about culture and economics and stuff like that. So yeah. So first of all, in the Harriet Tubman video, he opens it up being like, so Harriet Tubman being on the 20, it seems like basically no conservatives care. Show me the conservatives that care. They're like, the leftists are like, show me the conservative that cares. And he's like, I'm that conservative. I'm that conservative that cares. And it was like, and then he kept spinning it off like, first of all, he had the victim mentality for Andrew Jackson, where he was constantly like, oh, we're going to kick Andrew Jackson off the 20. We're going to slander him. He was such a terrible person. We're going to do all the... Andrew Jackson was so mean. We got to kick him off the 20. And it was really weird to have him have a victim mentality. Like, it was just the most victim-y thing I've heard about. Something as minute as this. Like, it's still a cool thing, but, like, I mean, it's just Andrew Jackson being kicked off the 20, and Andrew Jackson was a genocidal freak. But yeah, he had a victimhood, like he had like a victim mentality the whole video about that. And then he went on to talk about like, I don't understand why these conservatives are like, oh, we'll let this go because we want them to not think we're racist. And then he said, well, like they already think you're racist, so there's no point doing anything if you know you're not. Like, they already think that you are racist, so don't prove it to them that you aren't. It won't work. And then he never said cuckservative, but he basically he said what it meant. Like, I'm brave enough to be racist. I'm the only one that's actually racist. And like, he kept talking about conservatives doing this as like they're pretending for liberals and leftists, like they're pretending to not be racist. And like, because there's no way you can actually have this position as a conservative, right? There's no way you could want Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill as a conservative. That's what it seemed like to him. He kept making it seem like all these other conservatives, they're just not as brave as me. They're not brave enough to just be racist. Like, they are all trying to pretend to make themselves seem not racist in the eyes of leftists and liberals and X person. So yeah, he talked about that, and then he went on a huge tangent. And I just want to let you know that there were no arguments made in this video. He was basically saying, "Oh, you know she shouldn't be on the 20. You're just pretending." Like, he said that, and then he never made an actual argument against it. And then after he made the thing basically calling people conservatives, he talked about how he brought up the transgender bathroom thing, and it's like, and he said, well, we gave up on this issue because we wanted to not seem bigoted, and look what it's leading to. We can't give up on cultural issues. We need to protect our strong culture. And first of all, with the transgender bathroom thing, that is completely false. The official stance of the Republican Party is against transgender women going in women's bathrooms and transgender men going in men's bathrooms. That's the official stance of the Republican Party in nearly every state. So that is factually incorrect. But yeah, that's the first thing I wanted to go over. But then he continued making the argument, we need to protect our strong culture. Our culture is what makes us strong, and it must be protected at all costs. We must preserve the tradition. And he kept saying stuff like that, like we need to protect our strong culture, we need to do this, we need to do that, and because culture is the most important thing, and if we have a bad culture, it's bad. And then he kept saying, and then, which, I mean, this is a pretty obvious argument to me. I've heard Nazis say this. I've talked to a fair few Nazis that always stress the importance of culture and having a strong culture and protecting your culture. It's a very Nazi and fascist talking point. Most Nazis and fascists have engaged in this talking point at least once. And so yeah. So after he finished talking about that, he talks about how we can't give. He described, like, he mentioned the transgender bathrooms, this, and I don't know if he mentioned another one. But he said you can't give up on these little cultural issues, because then you give away the game. And then he extends it back into that point. We need to protect culture. We need to protect our strong culture. We need to make our culture as strong as possible. It's just incredibly. I've never heard Ben Shapiro say this. I've never heard Jordan Peterson say this. I've never heard other people that I would consider fascists say this. This is incredibly close to neo-Nazi stuff, and I just wanted to bring some light to it. But the next argument that he makes, which is incredibly Naziist, is he says we need to keep focus on the cultural issues. All these conservatives wanting to move to economics and go away from these cultural issues because they don't want to seem like a bigot is wrong. Once you give away cultural issues, you give away the game. And economic policy always comes after cultural policy. We must focus on culture. He stresses focusing on culture and says economics comes downstream from culture. This is just Nazis. This is what Nazis say. I've never heard anyone say this. I think I've heard JonTron say in the debate against Destiny. That's the only time I've heard a prominent figure say something like this. Like, economic issues are downstream from cultural issues. And then he talked, after he talked about, he said an American forebearer should be on the dollar bill. Harriet Tubman was an American forebearer, that was the only attempt at an argument he made, and it was just false. But yeah, all of the things that he said were incredibly Nazi-ish. They were, like, I've never heard anyone say economics come downstream from cultural issues. We need to solve the minute cultural things first and make our culture as strong as possible, and only then will we make any footing in economics. But yeah, he kept making those same arguments. It was like a 10-minute video, and he didn't make a single actual argument. The only things that he says was, this position can't actually be held, you're just pretending for leftists and liberals. Andrew Jackson, we can't just kick Andrew Jackson off. Oh, we don't want to kick Andrew Jackson off. Then he talks about how we need to preserve our culture and make our culture as strong, as bolstered, as great as possible. And then after he talked about how strong we need to protect our culture, he talked about how we can't give away how the Republicans can't give away cultural issues, because that's how you give away the game and lose the game to the liberals. And we can't focus on economics. We must focus on toning down our culture, and economics will follow the cultural issues later. So yeah, I just wanted to bring some attention to Michael Knowles, because he's often lumped in the same group as people like Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson, and I think he is much worse. I think he's much farther right than both of those guys, and it's just I just wanted to bring some light to him, because he's always lumped in the same group as those guys, and I think he's much worse. So yeah, that was the video. Thank you all for watching. Remember to like, dislike, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. I do read all comments, so make sure to leave one. But yeah, and next week I'll be starting a series on fascism. I'm not sure how long I'll make it. In the first video I do mention that it'll be a 3-part series, and that's the first 3 videos that I have planned out, but I may make more. So the first 3 will be a 2-part series on what is fascism, and then uh, the third, which will be on why fascism fails and other things. But if you want to see more videos on fascism, just let me know, because I'm thinking about making a video on different types of fascism. But yeah, the fascist series is coming up, and yeah, and I will keep doing more videos on right-wing political figures. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Yeah, remember to like, dislike, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. And yeah, I guess thank you all for watching, and thank you all for all the support on the recent videos. And yeah, I will see you guys